Hey, welcome to a special edition of The Bench, which could also be called It's Saturday, I'm Bored, and Football Isn't On Yet. If you follow me, you know that I've mastered Tinkercad, which you can take to mean I kinda get it. Anyway, I thought it might be a hoot to design something simple that every hobbyist needs now and again: a wheel. So we're going to start with a donut, and we're going to bevel the edges a little bit because we're making a tire, so we want it round. And tires, of course, we know, unless they're slicks, are not smooth, so I'm going to make some knurling here that's going to run around the edge of the tire. Put it right along the edge there. Doesn't need to be very big, and now I'm going to center it on one side. I'm going to copy it, move that using the arrow keys on my keyboard. And I want to make sure it's in the same place. In this case, it was 5 clicks out, if I remember, from the edge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. And now, using the shift key in my mouse, I'm going to select both of them. I'm going to copy both of them. And I'm going to rotate them 12 degrees, which is divisible into 360. And then I just click copy, 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 and it'll continue around the outside edge. Now there I have my knurled edge. Now if I just grab those knurlings like I'm doing right here, I can copy those and put them on the other side of the tire all at once. Then of course I'm going to group it and make it into a tire. Now I'm going to make some treads, and what I'm going to do is take another donut, and I always run a lot of sides on tires, so they're rounder, shall we say. I'm going to make it very thin, and I want it to be slightly bigger than the tire, and I want it to be a hole. I'm going to center it on two sides. I'm going to bring it up about right here. I'm going to copy it, lower it down just a little bit, and then I'm going to copy it all the way down the tire. Going to group it. Boom. Now we have a tire. That tire was a little bit big, so we're going to make it small for a Hot Wheels or a Matchbox, about 11.5 millimeters by 5 or 6. I started with 6. I thought that looked a little wide, so I went to 5. So there's our tire. Now we're going to make a rim. And again, I'm going to increase the sides because I want it to be very round. I'm just going to eyeball this, kind of get it, close. And then once I figure out how big that is, I want to make them both the same. And in this case, it's going to be 9 millimeters. And then I'm going to center it on two sides. Going to lower it down using my mouse and keyboard. And I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to make one that's a little bit smaller. And again, I want to center it on two sides, so it's right in the middle. That one I'm just going to raise up. If you notice, I'm leaving a little ridge around the edge of the rim, and that's going to help when it comes to painting this thing. Even though it doesn't look very big, it really will. And now I'm going to resize this, and I'm going to make a hole for the center of the rim because I want to countersink it a little bit. There we go. We'll sink that right into that rim. Then we're going to group it, and boom. Now we got a little recess. I want to make a 5-lug rim, so I'm going to use this 5-pointed star as the center of my mag. And again, I'm just eyeballing it here, trying to get it so it will fit within that opening and be fairly centered. Then I'm going to make another star. I'm going to duplicate it like I've been doing. I'm going to make this one just a little bit smaller. I'm going to turn it into a hole. And I'm going to make a recess within the star. Oops. Try that again. There we go. Now we're going to group it. Boom, we have a wheel with a rim. So let's create some lug nuts. Make those small. And I'm going to duplicate it and, you know, just copy it 5 times. And here I'm roughly putting them into position, trying to figure out if they look like they're about the right size. And they do. And now I'm going to make a center cap for this mag that I'm making. I'm going to center it on 2 sides. And then I'm going to decide the dimension that I want. It's a little small. I'm going to make it a little bigger than that, I think. And then I'm going to get all the lug nuts in position right where I want them. Again, I'm doing this using the arrow keys on my keyboard. So now we group everything, and we've got a tire with a center cap and mags. And there's one thing left to do. Since I use a 3mm Hot Wheel bearing to put this onto an axle, I have to cut a 3. I usually go a little bigger than 3mm, and I go about 3mm deep. And then I center it on the top side so that it's even. And the damn thing went the wrong way. Now I have to set it back down onto the table, which I can do just like this. And then it's just a matter of grouping it back together one more time. Then we're going to export it as an STL file. Well, let's print it. Here we are in Chutibox. We're going to put it on the table. It's not very heavy, so I'm going to add light standoffs. And then I'm going to copy this. I'm going to make 8 of them. All right, so let's print. Didn't have any failures, which is good. Here's my little flex plate. Sometimes they'll fall off right away. Sometimes I got to use a little spatula, but I'll tell you what, they come off really easy. And then I need to make sure that all of the resin gets cleaned off. And I've already washed them in hot water, but I like to use a little alcohol. And then what I have is a it's a nail hardener, and that they use in like where they do fingernails. And I took it apart and I disconnected the timer and made it so that it'll just run all the time when it's plugged in. There it is. It's really ugly looking, but it does a job. I painted one so you could see how that little ridge I put in there really helps when you paint these small objects like this. I'll say right up front though, I'd never use these on a vehicle, and the reason is because I can go on eBay, and for the cost of a Biden gallon of gas, I can get some really nice chrome white raised letters for my Hot Wheels upgrades that I do. But you know, if you're looking for a repair part because you can't find it anywhere, or maybe you can't find a certain thing that you're looking for, maybe you need a part to fix something, or shit, maybe you just need a shitter. But no matter what, 3D printing and Tinkercad and all that stuff is something that's worth learning. When I was in about the 7th grade, my mother made me a sports coat, and boy, I tell you, it was a hot mess. There wasn't a straight seam on the thing. I mention it only because this suit that I'm wearing here in 1977, my mother also made for me about 4 years later. My mother taught me to be a lifelong learner, and Tinkercad is no different than that. You just need to practice.